but a select band of 23 made it up the road. They've been thinning down over the penultimate climb of the day. It is an uphill finish, don't forget, and you recognise the style, I'm sure, of Nicolas Roche. He is up the road at the moment, having just pulled away on the penultimate climb of the day from the pursuers. Now, the gradients are, well, punishing, let's put it that way. The Porta de Canto maxed at 12%, and it really did sort out, or thin down I should say, the 23 escapees. We'll come to those in just a few moments time, but you look back across the valley and you see the main chasing bunch here. Now, we had a big thin out yesterday as far as the general classification was concerned. It's likely to be more so today. 217.7 kilometres on the cards. That's the main chasers. There is an intermediate group of around 16 riders who, as we said, have started to thin down from that 23. In a good way, Nicolas Roche off the front. Those who've just drifted out, including Rudy Mollard, Rob Reich, who was in the group, Brambilla was also there, Van der Waal from Lotto Belisol, and Fabio Aru, who significantly was around a minute down on the leader. Daniel Martin is still in that grouping, but the chase is on, and Sky have really been marshalling themselves. Danny Pate, who was also in the escape, dropped back to help out, and he is, of course, on Wiggins duty. Wiggins yesterday finishing in 4th place after an amazing victory by Nairo Quintana of Movistar. It was a 1-2 with Valverde, who went into that leader's jersey. He has fallen, along with Eros Kopecky, on one of today's very, very challenging descents. So those teammates are out. So we've lost our leader today, and it's all about attacks and who's doing what. Brian, it's quite a day.
Yeah, it's the longest stage of this year's Tour of Catalunya. Salerno in the red jersey just been caught. He's done enough today to keep that mountains jersey for another day, and it looks as if he'll take it all the way to the end. But you can just see a lot of the original breakaway. Reiser Heizedal, the Giro d'Italia winning, just coming out the break. But at the start of that climb, there was 1 minute 30 between the bunch and Nicolas Roche, who went off alone. So it's all down to this last climb. It's 18.9 kilometres. It averages 6.5. The start of this climb has got 11 and 12% kick-ups. It kind of levels in the middle, but again, like yesterday, it goes up to 11 and 12% towards the end. So a lot of the riders will just be trying to save as much as they can in the bunch, expecting the big attacks again from Wiggins, from Quintana. And Wiggins today has to distance Rodriguez if he's any thoughts about winning this race.
Absolutely. Nicolas Roche has done a superb job here. There we are, the pursuing group, the main group, a minute and 17. But as you saw, they're starting to break down good and proper those who were involved in the escape group. And it included some very, very tasty riders, including Ryder Heizedal, who you've just seen. Daniel Martin, of course, who was the main threat within the escapees. Only 30 seconds was his deficit on the leader, who, of course, has now gone out of this race, sadly due to crashing, Alejandro Valverde. We don't have a condition check on him, but he did walk to the car, so we're assuming that it's nothing too serious. So a one-man assault on the final climb today. Let's talk about it, because we've had plenty, I might add. Salerno took most of today's climbs. In fact, he finished second only behind Roche on this last KOM that we have had, save for the finish line, which comes at Port-Ainé. It's almost at the 2,000 metre mark once again. In fact, it's shy of that mark by just 53 metres, so 1,947, and it comes after 217 kilometres on a day such as today. This is the Queen stage, incidentally. Thank goodness, because you wouldn't want too many more of these on a day such as this. At least the temperatures are kind of moderate, let's put it that way. You can see some of the warm weather gear has been zipped open here because they're generating an awful lot of heat. That's Carlos Verona just being passed by at the moment, and it looks like Roche, his card is marked for the time being, but well, who can catch him, and what can they possibly do today?
Well, there's a small group coming up just behind, as we can see, 6.5 average, maximum 12%, and some of that is at the bottom of this climb. We go further up to 1,947 metres, and it gets, like yesterday, steeper towards the top. Travis Meyer is the person attacked from the group, but Sky are just going to set a hard tempo up this climb. There's probably still about 70 or 80 left in the peloton, but they'll shed very, very quickly, as it looks like one of the riders from Euskaltel here is going on the attack, and that's Mikel Landa. and there's going to be attacks all over the place, but he's just catching one of his teammates that was in the original breakaway, Astroloza. But there was about 2 or 3 riders trying to come across the Roach. There was a sprint earlier today, 3:2 and 1 seconds, and it was Dan Martin that took the 3 seconds, Roach the 2 seconds, and Betancourt, the Colombian climber, the 1 second. And Dan Martin, the best placed of the overall in that original 23-man breakaway, he was at 36 seconds now, so now at 33. He's playing his cards today. He was upset yesterday after losing 30 seconds when it came to the finish, so he's want to try and make up for that yesterday. You can just see a few more of come up. There's about 5 riders just behind Roach, who again finished over 3 minutes down in the stage yesterday. They looked after him in the stage, disappointed, and he's come out fighting.
Well, I think so. I think they went back to the team bus and kind of made a call on their leader, essentially. And today he's decided to respond. And that's what you're seeing at the moment. 10 down, great battler. We know all about him. A man who starts an event and then stops shaving. Looks very rugged by the end. Even more so if he face plants like he did in the Tour de France a couple of years ago. Let's hope he stays safe. But a great breaker and an attacker, and could be a very, very handy ally for any who decide that today is their kind of day. Now, we're expecting as well some showings from the Spanish teams today. Thankfully, there has been a broadcasting strike in Spain, so we're extraordinarily grateful to have these pictures for you, which internationally they've obviously somebody's left the tap on, which is exactly what we need. Michael Landa then was by Astroloza. I think he's actually gone by him. Nicholas Roach is going to have some company in just a few moments' time, and so we'll get who is in this very select group in just a few moments' time. But believe me, it's going to take some work if they're going to hold off a Skytrain, which is extraordinarily determined. Now, we've seen that Skytrain just setting its own tempo. They don't worry about explosive escapes. They do not send anyone up the road to try and nullify them. In fact, anything but. And Danny Pate has actually dropped back to help his teammates, has he? Just seeing if he's still amongst this lot.
No, this is Dan Martin at the front. Just behind him is the Katusha rider in the red. That'll be Lusada. Just behind Herrada of Movistar. Nicholas Roach is now propped in 4th place there. You've got Betancourt, the Colombian climber at AG2R, led at the front of the peloton by Team Sky.
And here we go. There are the Sky Train doing their job for that man.
Every day is a new challenge, an opportunity to make a difference. Since 2005, FIFA has supported over 200 social development programs. FIFA's Football for Hope initiative is helping to change lives and bring hope through the power of football.
Follow the score of your favorite team live and find the latest results and features with Eurosport's Live Score.
Get Eurosport.com for your iPhone free. Every day sees full and expert coverage of sports news with dozens of articles and an easy one-stop video section that lets you live and relive the very best moments of sport. Follow all the scores, fixtures and tables live. Eurosport.com, the reference and sport apps available on the App Store. Eurosport Player is the multi-screen service of the Eurosport channels. With Eurosport Player, watch Eurosport and Eurosport 2 live on computer, smartphone and tablet through a single subscription. Watch your favourite events through the catch-up service. Also enjoy exclusive content through the bonus channels. Eurosport Player. All sports, all emotions.
Welcome back. Today's the big day. It's going to sort out who is going to have a chance of victory here. And so far, well, it has proved rather explosive, not least for the poor old Movistar team that did such a good job yesterday. Nairo Quintana actually took that. We have a chase group here, the main remnants of the peloton. Plenty of riders further down the mountain, I might add, but Sky, well, doing the pacing today. They, however, are on a chase. They've got this rather select group of riders up ahead of them. Beg your pardon, we suddenly switched back to Sky. But there are a select bunch up front, including Nicholas Roach, who's just had a sort of bid for freedom, if you like, out of an escape group originally of 23 riders that started to thin down. We've got around about 6 riders up the road, with these guys now chasing down, with Sky, as we said, doing most of the pacing on the front with their familiar dark black and blue here. It's going to be a day where those with plans of the GC are going to get bruised or succeed. You better be up amongst these front group if you're going to have a chance. Bradley Wiggins is here, and we're just looking at Uran at the moment, who is just the ultimate climber, ultimate guide, if you like, through the mountains. The Colombian did great work for Chris Froome in the Middle East when we got to the mountains of Oman, and he's doing exactly the same thing here for Bradley Wiggins. Yesterday, Bradley decided to light it up and go for it. He almost snatched at it, and as a result, it didn't quite go his way, but he's certainly one of the contenders, and will be by the end of today, let's hope. And these are, well, I can only describe them as remnants, really, of what was a very, very high quality escape group earlier on.
Yeah, Dan Martin has to go for it, the Irishman, for Garmin Sharp, just at the front there, and not really looking behind, asking the other two for any help, and that's Harada, Movistar, and Keselowski, where they're sitting in overall, with Martin taking the 3-second bonus. He's 33 seconds behind the overall lead of Valverde. We've got Valverde had 6 seconds at the start of today on Rodriguez, so it's still all to play for. 152 to Keselowski for Radio Shack, the person in the picture just on the left hand side, and 103 to Movistar. But the interesting factor here is, okay, Valverde and Capecchi have gone, but Quintana, for me, a big danger. He's only sitting 22 seconds off the overall lead when we started today's stage, and he will be a big danger today. But for me, Sky have to set a good tempo. Bradley has to attack. He has to try and distance Rodriguez if he wants to win this race. But the big danger for me is Quintana. He looked very good yesterday, and again, this finish is going to suit him. He has to make up some time. Movistar losing the overnight leader of Valverde and a good teammate Capecchi. Their backs will be up, and they'll want to do what they did yesterday and win the stage and try and take the leader's jersey.
I think the thing is, Brian, as well, they're going to fall behind their man now, so Quintana essentially becomes the team leader. That's exactly what he will need today if he's going to succeed, although he looked so fresh yesterday. It was quite remarkable just how, when we were discussing it before we came on air, Joaquin Rodriguez went for the attack, and Quintana just decided, well, I'm going to go for this anyway. He showed some great strength, Brian, the ability to respond, but not only that, but just completely dominate yesterday.
Yeah, he was. You could see on yesterday's coverage that he followed Wiggins fairly easily. I was quite impressed with Pinot as well. He looks as if he's in good shape, François de Jeu. And just as they all came back together, Rodriguez was going to attack, but Quintana beat him to it and went away, and he just set a pace that was too quick for everybody else. And I'm afraid he is a big danger today, but he does need quite a few seconds to ahead of the likes of Wiggins. You've got to remember, in these two stages, yesterday and today, there's no bonus seconds. All the bonus seconds of 10, 6 and 4 are on the first and second and fifth, sixth and seventh stages. But it's not over after today. The Montjuic circuit is really, really tough, but you think it suits the likes of Rodriguez, short, sharp, and you've seen what he did last year in the Volta on the Montjuic circuit as we went into Barcelona to finish the stage last year. But yeah, it's all to play for today, and if Bradley can get his team to really take the tempo up, and he does what he did yesterday, it's going to be an epic final couple of kilometres.
I think it most certainly will be. Watch out for the explosions as we get, indeed, some riders going pop today, because although it is slightly warmer and we're at a little lesser altitude, we're not on the snow line that we saw yesterday. We will certainly be approaching it, as you can see right now. Plenty of switchbacks. Road condition not that bad, and they've dealt with the downhills. It may well have been a little bit of a rougher surface earlier on today. We did have some mighty descents. In fact, after the Tour Centenary sprint, I think that's where we lost our leader Valverde, unfortunately. So no leader's jersey on display today, but certainly an awful lot of climbing to be done. There are the escapees and the main group. Minute and 14 then, and they've got to start working together. They were, of course, as a group of 23, but there are some big dangers nonetheless amongst those here. And the danger men, well, the likes of Daniel Martin, can never be overestimated. And the fact that he's only 30 seconds down means that Sky, well, they do not want him to get into a more comfortable position, especially as the next couple of days probably suit Martin more than it does Bradley Wiggins. We'll see. Open-mouthed and determined. There is Martin right now on your screens in the Garmin blue and black. With a movie star wingman at the moment, his demeanour, when he's suffering, he always to me looks like he's smiling. I suppose that's maybe a well-practised trait, who knows? Yeah, it's a grimace, but we've seen him, not so long a climb, a few years back in the Tour of Poland when he went on the attack and, on a climb and held the bunch off by about, I think it was about 20 seconds or something like that. But this is a different race, different level of race, and obviously a bigger climb. But Dan's got it, the bit between his teeth. He's unhappy about yesterday. He had a bit, dead legs, although he only finished about 30 seconds down. But he's got someone with him, Harada, who is a danger, but he's not going to help him at all. Well, he looked back and said, Jesus, and it was. Back in a moment.
The challenges ahead requires focus, concentration, and a will to succeed. The International University Sports Federation, representing 163 countries, promotes sports values in tune with the academic spirit. Thousands of students from around the world participate in the events it organizes. And what do they learn? Friendship, integrity, cooperation, and achievement. The International University Sports Federation. Excellence in mind and body.
Welcome back. Just in case you missed it, and we've had to take a few commercial breaks here along the way. Stephen Roche, who animated this climb, is... Sorry. Steve, relax, it's your son. Has been reabsorbed into this group. But out front, big danger man for Sky is Daniel Martin, and he has Jesus Harada alongside him at the moment. This is going to start happening again and again. Watch Sky, absolutely no response at all. They still hold their tempo. It's clever stuff. It may not be as dramatic as it has been. There he goes by some of our brave men who've been up the road. And Robert Jasink decides that today, well, you never know. He wears 21 as team principal, and yes, he came into this race as a hopeful. Maybe this is his move.
Well, it's a brave move. He's gone with quite a distance to go towards the top. Everybody expecting Team Sky to just set the tempo, and this is where we're looking at. Everybody's talking about, Team Sky riding at the front of the train. They just ride a tempo, and how can you beat that? Well, this is how you try. He's already taken Vandenbroek. He wants a piece of this action. So, you only look at Dan Martin. He went out there from this breakaway. The break went to about kilometre 44. 23 riders went away, and Dan is still in front with Harada. He's not going to get any help because they'll be thinking of Quintana for the finish. But this is how to do it. Not just 12 kilometres to go to the top of this climb. And when was the last time we've seen the likes of Hissink and Vandenbroek go on the attack with so long to go? Others should try and do this as well, because the more the merrier. Because you've got to remember, at the front of this Sky train, you've got two riders. I think it's Cataldo and Lopez, and then you've got Bradley Wiggins. So you've got three riders. So at the moment, Vandenbroek and Hissink will hold this gap because it's 2 against 2 at the moment. But if another person jumps across them, like a Rodriguez or someone else, then it's 3 against 2, and then the gap will go up. So, this is the way to do it. It's all about numbers and putting them in front. But this man here, this young man, from Ireland. His dad and mum will be so proud of him today, going out there fighting, and fighting he is. He's got about 1 minute and 30 on the peloton, and really going for it, and really wants to try and get something out this year's Tour of Catalunya.
It'd be great if he does. I'm full of admiration for Jurgen van der Broek. He was one of my side bets yesterday, and in fact he showed a great deal of bravery. If he's doing it again, you ask yourself, is it madness? Well, he clearly believes he's got the legs. Maybe they are coming back. We're still early season, and you never know when your form might come. Looks like he's sweating up good and proper here. Not very much wind. And he, of course, alongside Robert Jasink, who took the Amgen Tour of California, you may remember. And as a result, you start casting your mind back to the sort of terrain that he was operating in then. Pretty similar to today is the answer. They do like their mountains there. It's not just about the wine country. And today, well, they've done a good job here. It shows you there's not that much of a distance to those who have shown a little bit more ambition a bit earlier on. The chasers, well, still no response from Sky. They are at the front. Makes you wonder just how close to the limit they are. It's an eternal question, and one that will be answered fairly shortly. We've got around about 11.5 kilometres still to go. Interestingly, Katusha just staying there and guiding Joaquim Rodriguez. He's had, as you can see, a man up the road, Alberto Losada, just being eaten up now by these guys who are doing a super job. If they can just latch onto the wheel, that's what they're trying to do. Very hard thing to suddenly pick up the pace. Santa Romita does precisely that for BMC, a team that's been, kind of notoriously quiet, I think you might say, of late, which is a shame for them. And Bajot as well from Cofidis. So Jasink it is with some fresh legs, and joined by Van den Broek. There he is, who did a great job yesterday. They're relaying nicely. They won't really appreciate too many passengers along the way here, although you can't expect too much from the guys who were up the road a little bit early on. But Rob Jasink and Van den Broek, it's quality, and so the chase is on, and these are the guys who are in the lead at the moment after Roche just drifted back during one of our breaks, so apologies for that, but here we are. So it's two and, some stragglers, two hopefuls, including Jasink and Van den Broek, and then Sky setting their rhythm. They look so well marshalled. There's never a blink from Sky. It may not be a pretty strategy for the viewers if explosive escapes and counter-attacks are not attempted to be nullified, but just they keep that metronome going. But it's effective.
Yeah, it has been effective in the past. We've seen it obviously in a lot of the big races, even some this year in Tirreno and in Port-Ainé. But I think they're under pressure now. You've got two very good climbers, Van den Broek at the front there in the Lotto, and Hissink there, the Dutch rider, and you've got two very good climbers, and at the front of the bunch you've got Bradley sitting in third place, and you've got Cataldo and Lopez in front of him. I don't know, I've not seen where Uran is, but I know that at the start of the climb, or before the climb, they used up Christian Nies and Danny Pate, who dropped back from the original breakaway, and then at the bottom of the climb they used Young Edmondson and Peter Kenyuk. So, they're depleted in numbers. It isn't the strongest of Sky teams that we've seen in other races, but Bradley's got it all to do today. He has to get some time back, and with only two riders at the front, and these two riders on the march towards the top of this climb in 10 kilometres. As we said, the middle of this climb is not too bad. It averages 6.5, but towards the top, a wee bit like yesterday, it gets a lot steeper. This is the Queen Stage, as you said, Carrollton, a very tough day. You can see the weather conditions are good. Okay, it's not so sunny like yesterday. There's a lot of snow at the top of this climb, but 120 to the chasers. Dan Martin's doing a great ride, but spare a thought, as Greg Henderson says on Twitter, spare a thought for the Gruppetto today, who are carrying 20 kilos more than those climbers we're seeing at the moment. We always forget them.
Yes, exactly.
The entertainers in the flat stages.
Bless us. Bless them. Yes, indeed. And they will be entertaining us again as this parkour flattens out towards the run for home. They really will have broken the back of the Tour of Catalunya today, and we expect to see those who will ultimately be contending for the victory on our screens at the end of today's event. Well, it's this stage has just about 9 kilometres remaining, and they're attempting to animate it at the moment. Van den Broek still chugging away. I told you those guys they caught would not be helping out. Absolutely not, because they're expecting Jasink and Van der Broek to be the pilots, if you like, in their attempt to get back at Harada, who's up the road. And of course the man on your screen at the moment, Daniel Martin of Ireland, still doing a great job, open mouthed. A bit of a look about of a young Sean Kelly about him. Not quite the same stature, but same visage, and not giving a great deal away. I think turning a grimace into a smile is a great thing to just psych out your opponents. So we are coming into the snow line right now. Temperatures, as Brian was saying, not that bad. In fact, little bit of snow melt around the place, but absolutely no wind today, save for that generated by our helicopter. And there's the pan back of the road that they're dealing with at the moment. It's 9.4 kilometres to go. We're just passing, I think, the main section, which does max out around about 12%. That's where the main chasers are on at the moment. It then sort of flattens just a little bit, and that will feel like a great relief. Worth explaining, Brian, what the difference, just in terms of feel, really, is between 12% and, let's say, 7%. I know it's significant, but just it's for yourself, anyway. Yeah,
exactly. It's, in a climb like this, with it being so long, 18.9 kilometres, you want to try and get into a rhythm. And when it goes up to, from, as you said, about 7% to the 11 and 12, that's where, obviously it really hurts. You have to get out the saddle and put more power into the pedals, and that upsets the rhythm. And obviously, some riders like it, like Porito, Rodriguez likes that type of climb. Quintana's okay with it, but what Dan is doing at the moment, he's setting a rhythm, a very good rhythm, because he knows he's still got a long way to go.
8.9 kilometres to go. If you're wondering why Joaquim Rodriguez, his name is Porito. It's the name of a small cigar. Apparently when he first turned pro as a youngster, he sailed by the more seasoned pros, the veterans, and as he went by, he took his hands off the handlebars, sat up and pretended to be smoking a cigar as if this is easy. And so at the end of the day they made him smoke one, and he wasn't very well. Not being a smoker, obviously. So the name Porito is stuck. So there you go. 8.9 kilometres remaining. If you'd like to join us on Twitter, by the way, this will be slow progress up here with Sky setting that mean old tempo. It's quite pacey, as you can see. They're stuck in their saddles. Others around them are out of the saddle. It's not that they're necessarily on the attack, it's just that they're struggling to cope. There is Oran, dead centre of the Sky trio, just being that guide for Wiggins. He'll be the last man to go with Wiggins. Wiggins yesterday showing he had a lot left in the legs, even if he didn't have quite the sprint for the line capabilities late on, but did a good job very much to keep himself in contention here, and in fact now finds himself even higher up the order due to the fact that we have lost our leader Alejandro Valverde, who fell on a crash along with his teammate Eros Kopecky. No details on it at the moment, but we understand injury is not serious. Please don't blame us if that information is wrong and it turns out to be worse than we thought later on. Still sketchy, as they came off the mountain an awful long time ago, 100 kilometres ago or so. So there's your man, Joaquim Rodriguez. I think today may well see something special from him. We'll see. Certainly yesterday, he wanted to strut his stuff, didn't he? But Quintana got in the way. And for today to make it 2 in a row.
Yeah, I think he is a major threat. That's if... because he's waiting at the moment to see what Sky are doing, and Lopez just went towards the back of the group, and obviously Team Sky have only got Iran now. I was trying to find out where Iran was, but it's Iran for Team Sky now in front of Bradley Wiggins. There's still 8.4 kilometres to go to the top of this climb, and it gets tougher towards the top, but Dan Martin at the front with a big E in his back for Garmin Sharp, still holding just over a minute and 10, we believe. Two riders that have come from the bunch, and that's Van der Broek and Hissink, and another about 30 seconds back to the main peloton. So for me, Sky are under big pressure today because of the breakaway that went away. 23 riders went away after the 44 kilometre mark, and it was as if the teams that represented there, it was as if we want to get a man in the break so we don't have to do any chasing today, and most of the big teams got a man or two men in the breakaway. Dan Martin got a great lieutenant last year's Giro d'Italia, Reiser Heizedal, with him. So over the climbs and up to this stage, you need teammates, you need people that can push hard in the valleys, and this is why they hit the bottom of the climb with 1 minute 30. But he's not lost a lot of time so far. You've got to remember 18.9 kilometres as they started this climb, still with 8 kilometres to go. Dan Martin followed by Harada for Movistar is not going to do anything at all, because he is thinking of that man Quintana, who could possibly win this stage and take the race leader's jersey. But Team Sky really under pressure, but everybody else is sitting back there. Katusha sitting back there in numbers, and for me, Rodriguez was outclassed yesterday by Quintana.
Quintana's very, very close to him. In fact, he's on the back of that Katusha train by the looks of things. Here we are then. So remaining 7% average. So there you are. It'll come as something of a relief to these guys. There then, alone as they are, Jasink and Van der Broek in pursuit of those up the road at the moment, which is Dan Martin of Ireland, and it looks like he has distanced, there it is, his Movistar accomplice Jesus Harada, who's gone by or dropped back. So the lone man up front, we've been saying that a number of times today, and in fact it's applied to Irishmen.
Yeah, he's really going for it. Still a long way to go, 7.6 kilometres. We'd say it gets a lot steeper towards the top. There's 11 and 12%, a wee bit similar, okay, a bit longer than yesterday's climb, but similar towards the top. And what a brave effort this man is doing. Not got the smooth of the style, if you've mentioned before, but he's still effective. He's turning the pedals over. 154 now, so he's in the main group. You've got Van der Broek and his sink between them, but what a ride this man's doing, getting in the breakaway. Disappointed after yesterday, and still alone with 7.4 kilometres to go to the finish.
If you'd like to join us on Twitter, by the way, it's Carlton Kirby, CarltonKirby, or Bry Smithy, BRISMITHY. So there is our road today. A lot of broken rock around the place, plenty of warnings as well that something can fall. Well, we've had a couple of tumblers within the pack, not falling boxers, understand, but kind of like them. Alejandro Valverde and Eros Capecchi both going down earlier on today. This is shaping up nicely here. Not sure it's shaping up nicely for Sky. They're down to 2 men now, and Rigoberto Urán is leading Bradley Wiggins. We kind of knew that would be the case, and Van der Broek just stretches his legs here. Had a go yesterday. It was a lot later on than this, and maybe he preferred to play that sort of rhythm game, as it were, and just go a little bit longer. Certainly that's his intention today. I don't know whether he feels that if it wasn't quite so punchy, then he'd have a chance. He's just missed out on the podium a couple of times as far as the Tour de France is concerned, Van der Broek, but of course took a stage on the Dauphiné a couple of years ago, so he's pretty handy. I think that was when Bradley did his thing as well. So 6.9 kilometres to go. Bradley Wiggins still very much in the frame today, but he's been forced to do the work, and Joaquim Rodriguez is with his Katusha team, and he's got an awful lot more firepower at the moment, rolling out front and doing a super job here. Absolutely pacing himself as well as everybody else is Ireland's Daniel Martin. It was Nicolas Roche who'd done a similar sort of thing earlier on. He did it on the descent off the top of the Porta de Canto, and then sadly for him got wound in along with what was a 23-man escape group essentially. Yes, that's very much thinned down, and still Sky doing the pacing at the front. They drift over to the other side of the road just to try and shorten the way up ahead. Turn to come, Katusha bedded in, and Lampre just starting to show themselves here as well in their familiar pink and blue. It's Katusha's red and white just behind the Astana rider, who's on the tail of the 2 Sky riders. It's Urán and Wiggins at the nose here as they take another straggler. I say straggler, but from the escape groups and quality riders they were. 6.5 to go. Hard to read Bradley. Well, except for when he's absolutely livid, which he has been on a number of occasions. Bradley's
looking comfortable at the moment, but he's depleted with the only having Urán in front, and the 2 chasers have now split up. Jurgen van der Broek has decided to go alone. His sink has just been distanced, but this is the man that's doing the ride of his life for me today. He started today, got on the breakaway, 23 riders. He was only 36 seconds off the overall lead. Took the sprint, took the 3 seconds, so he's only 33 seconds down. You got to remember that was in Valverde, and Valverde crashed out today with Kopecky. So he's got it all to play for. Still 6.3 kilometres to go. He is keeping the bunch at bay and doing a terrific ride, and I believe that David Miller and Andrews Clare are all watching this in the team bus, and the bus are going nuts as they see what could potentially be a big stage win and a new leader to the Volta Catalunya here today.
Well, what an effort it will be. He's been out there all day, don't forget, as part of the main escape group, and has just played his own game, set his own rhythm. As we come to Port-Ainé, which is the end game today, he's got a heck of a lead. He did take the Tour of Poland, don't forget, a couple of years ago, and that's no mean feat. A couple of stages he won along the way as well. So, he always appreciate it when somebody who takes the title has actually picked up stage wins along the way, and he's going for one right now, and it may well be the title late on. Let's just say that for his friends who are watching. I'm not sure I believe it, but here's Jurgen van der Broek, and he's a big danger. If these two get together, they will work together and work well.
Yeah, I'm just looking. The Movistar team car went up and obviously had a word with Harada, and it stopped at the side of the road, and Van der Broek is just about to catch Harada. Maybe in when it starts to get steeper in a kilometre or two, maybe Quintana has to do something. He has to maybe get across to Harada on his own. He's got a teammate, maybe help him for a few seconds. But this is the man who got to catch first. He is close to the general classification, and for me, it's slipping out the fingers of Team Sky at the moment. And Katusha have to get involved with the chase.
Well, if Katusha don't step up to the mark here, there's going to be words. I'll tell you more than that, because Joaquim Rodriguez is getting a free ride at the moment, courtesy of Sky. They've thinned down, and here we are. Pendant Mitya, 1.5%. So he's on something of a little ramp at the moment, and as a result, he's picked up the pace. The strugglers, I think we're allowed to call everybody that, behind him at the moment. He's doing a super job. As we look down, it really has thinned down into a very select group of about 20 riders at the moment, front of pack as we speak. The dark jerseys of Sky. Don't look for the leader's jersey. He tumbled off and is out, I'm afraid to tell you, if you're only just joining us. Yes, falling Valverde earlier on along with a teammate. 4.6 to go then, and it's not the most testy of ramps now on in, but it is a real drag, and still Van der Broek tries to close that gap, and it looks like he may well be making it. Camera just
I don't think so.
Drifting up the road.
I think Dan is really pushing hard here, and
that's what I want to think.
He's on one of the days where I think Dan's feeling unstoppable.
Here he goes.
We're onto this kind of false flat. 4.4 kilometres to go to it does get a bit steeper towards the top, but for me, Dan Martin is looking very good. It's really up to Wiggins and Rodriguez. They seem to kind of marking each other at the moment further down this climb, but this guy is doing a ride of his life. Van der Broek struggling to get up there, but it's up to Movistar and Quintana now. Quintana is probably the biggest danger. He can close a good gap, but I think if this gap stays just over a minute, it's going to be very difficult for MD to come back to Dan Martin now.
I'm just going to check where we are time-wise ahead of the finish today. 4.3 kilometres only remaining, and they're going reasonably quick here. He's coming up to the 4 to go marker. That will come as a blessed relief. There he is under that banner, and pennanted for the team buses that will narrow the road here. This will be interesting. Still with pace here, Van der Broek. I'm still not sure that he's not going to get back here. We'll see when he hits that banner and just what the gap is. Fingers crossed, of course, for Daniel Martin. It would be a great result for the Irishman if he brings this one home. He's got a string of success behind him, but this man looks to me like he's still got something left in his legs. He did put an awful lot in yesterday. We'll see. Still waiting for that clock to stop. It's dependent on somebody's thumb and presumably on somebody's view of pictures. And suddenly, at last, Katusha realised the danger and joined the party here. And I think that might be Quintana just behind here, just out of sight. Can't get a check on his face. But there is Bradley Wiggins as well. It is. Well, we said quality will out. It has to, because there's only 3.6 remaining. And still that clock rolls on. I'm not sure who it's going to stop upon at the moment. We'll see. This is is fantastic. It's starting to pick up on this intermediate ramp. They'll be climbing again. It does get very tough towards the end in Port-Ainé. Let's just talk through the finish, shall we, while we keep an eye on this. It weaves around. The last couple of turns come after the 1 kilometre to go. It's then a relatively straight road, so if anyone is within sight of anybody, they will not lose sight of them for the run for home. Here we are.
Well, that's Van den Broek at the fronts for Lotto Belisol, just behind Hissink for Blanco. And, you know, they distanced each other about a kilometre ago, and it looks as if Hissink is coming back at Van den Broek in front, but they must have passed just over a minute behind. I think the bunch are still about 140, and we did say Katusha has to join the party and help Sky out, and for me I think it's a little too late. 3 kilometres to go. Dan Martin looks as if he's got 52 seconds on him, but I think he's still got about a minute and a half, minute 40 still in the bunch. We'll wait to see that time check coming through, but what a ride this man is doing today.
Absolutely amazing, and just look at the effort he's actually putting in here, and the tempo, for goodness sake. He's practically spinning up here, and despite what you might think, this is a proper incline. There you go, out of the saddle he comes just to drive it away. He's got to believe that this is going to happen. I'm starting to believe it myself here. 3 kilometres to go, and I know that plenty of you at home are enjoying this as well. It is an amazing performance by Dan Martin. And 30 seconds was his deficit at the beginning of the day. Now, don't forget, despite what you may have seen on the graphics yesterday, and indeed in some of the early results, there were no time bonuses yesterday. So a little bit of confusion suddenly. Time to pick up pace. Here we go. Quintana kicks off now. Well, at the beginning of the day, Brian, you said we had a man who won 2 in a row in Gianni Meersman at the top, and I think we're going to have 2 in a row today. And this is the man who took it yesterday. Can Quintana do it again?
He's got the form. For me, I think he was needing a wee bit more help by Team Sky and Katusha there, but he is the biggest danger. I think in 2.6 kilometres he could possibly come somewhere near Dan and maybe take the overall lead in this Tour of Catalunya, but it's going to be touch and go. But he definitely has the bit between his teeth and something to prove today. You've got to remember that they lost Valverde and Capecchi, but he's going to eat up this road in front of him. But for me, I think it's looking very good for Dan Martin for the stage.
Fantastic. Well, the great thing for Quintana is he's got a couple of intermediate riders as well, and if he reaches those, they're all going to be markers for him, and he'll count them down psychologically in his mind. Round the corners, just searching for riders, he comes time and time again, and he has proven that the legs that he had yesterday were no fluke. Absolutely not. He's on great form. Mind you, just look at the cadence of this man. Daniel Martin still driving away, hoping for victory here, hoping to do it all again. Well, he's giving it a very, very good go here. And plenty of you on Twitter as well. Thanks for your messages. It's just too dramatic at the moment to get to you, but Quintana is on the chase. These are the men who are in his sights right now. Just the intermediate riders. He'll get to them in a while. The penultimate rider there is Van den Broek. And then top left of your screen right now, still, just look at the way he's pacing himself here. Daniel Martin is heading for victory, I think, here. And there we are. Martin back to Quintana. Is 1 minute and 35 with 2.1 kilometres to go. I think Quintana, who was 26 seconds down at the start of the day, is going to lose out here. Only 4 seconds he was giving away for Daniel Martin. And just look at the determination here. This is fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous. And you got to remember that it looks as if he is going to take the stage, and he takes that jersey today. He's still got a couple of good teammates in this group behind, so looking very good for Garmin-Sharp today, and especially for Ireland and young Dan Martin.
Well, the clock was marked back to Quintana. Don't forget the last time they did the reading to Jürgen van der Broek, it was 58 seconds, but here comes Quintana right now. There he is, 6th in the general classification, confirmation at 26 seconds down. There was some confusion yesterday as they accidentally imposed some of the time bonuses along the way. 2 to go. There's that marker. which rider are we with? Race leader at the moment, and overall leader, I'll be bound if he takes this. Daniel Martin takes another curve here, tries to get as much speed as he can into the hairpin, and he's got very few turns still to make here. The road kind of just lazies out as it gets towards the summit here, and that plays into his hands. It'll come as a blessed respite. It'll almost feel like an easy course for him. He's got another right-hander, a gentle left-hander, and then a final sort of hairpin right before he has to come in. It'll be the Flamme Rouge just after that turn, and then he's got one last left-hand turn before the road really does welcome him to the line. That is Jurgen van der Broek, who's had a brave effort here. The clock's counting on van der Broek. I think this is Quintana, who's come out of the main group, including Joaquim Rodriguez and of course Bradley Wiggins, and Sky just thin on the ground at the end, and this man got a free ride because of the battle going on between those two teams.
He's coming up very quick, and from the 2 kilometre to the 1 kilometre, this climb averages 9%. If Dan can get past to the 1 kilometre to go, then it eases up to about 5.4% average. This is a tough kilometre. If you can keep Van der Broek, you can just see him at the bottom of the picture, if you keep him at bay, he's coming back very quickly. The team car's up alongside. This is make or break. For me, I think he's left it a wee bit too late. Dan Martin looks as if he's going to be taking this stage win, but Quintana, showing the form that he did have yesterday, is trying to come back.
I think he's got Van der Broek in his sights as we speak. There is Martin. Van der Broek is the intermediate rider here, but we're staying with the Movistar rider who won yesterday, Quintana, and they're just starting to tire. There you go, 59 seconds. These are the two intermediate riders as well between those two names on your screen on the graphic. Foremost amongst them is Daniel Martin. He's out front, and this is Quintana, and he's got two of his quarry out front right now. There's Van der Broek, and it looks like he has just run out of steam here. You don't know what gear he's actually pushing down here, but there is his co-escapee from Blanco just a few moments ago, and behind them is Quintana. 1.1 to go though for this man. Daniel Martin up front, and out the saddle he comes again. He's just got to clear his mind and go for the line. There's not much strategy left here.
Well, this is a hard kilometre. We get to the 1 kilometre to go and it levels a bit, but Quintana, I think for me, leaving it a wee bit too late. That's why the team car came up to Arada, and they wanted to go on the attack towards the top of this climb. They didn't realise that they've got a really tough Irishman in front, riding for Garmin Sharp, really pushing hard as he can. He just has to get to that 1 kilometre. You'll get a wee bit of inspiration from it, but he has done a ride of his life today.
Well, it's been a day for the Celts. Nicolas Roche was out there and went out alone off that escape group. Daniel Martin just kept his powder dry, I think you might say, and he's come to the end game here, and he really has. That is the advantage, and essentially Quintana is back with Jasink and Van der Broek at the moment, catching them, but as Brian said, probably way too late, and suddenly the others have started thinking about GC distance, and there's Perito. Joaquim Rodriguez decides to go as well, and he's within sight here of these guys. He's going to get on the back of Quintana. Now that would be a superb performance, but nothing like this. Daniel Martin takes the Flamme Rouge here, 1 kilometre to go, has to the air bridge actually positioned on the road on the inside of the corner. That's exactly what he didn't want, and here comes Joaquim Rodriguez trying to get back at Quintana and keep this race alive for himself later on. 900 metres only then for Daniel Martin. He goes by Jasink here, and still he looks like he's struggling. This is going to be Daniel Martin's day. It's a question of the distance and whether he'll be in the leader's jersey. The clock's rolling back to the other guys.
Yeah, still looking good for Dan. The chasers still have to come under the Flamme Rouge, and it's just around the corner. Van der Broek still looking strong, but Quintana looking invincible in this climb a wee bit earlier. Looks as if he's starting to flag. Rodriguez is up onto the wheel and the red jersey there, so 1 kilometre to go. Dan's got 43 seconds on the chasers now, looking very good, and the team should be more than happy with this man. Going to take the stage and take the overall jersey with it.
A lot of door banging going on at the moment just to encourage him. Don't look back, just look forward. forward is the watchword, and all of a sudden he actually looks down the mountain to see where the pursuers are. They're all kind of looking at each other. Quintana, Rodriguez and Van den Broek, they're all having a brief chat here. It's not going to happen for them, but it is for Daniel Martin here. It's in the last few hundred metres of what has been the Queen stage today of this Tour of Catalunya, 217 kilometres, and there it is. The clock tells you everything you need to know. We're looking at an Irish winner today, and this is an absolutely superb performance by him. Very gutsy. He's been out there all day, let's not forget, and remains the freshest of all.
Well, Rodriguez in the red at the front really has this. It's man against man now. Rodriguez is thinking, right, if I can close as many seconds as I can to Dan Martin, I can go again and go from in Montjuic in a few days' time. It's not over. The overall is not over, but the leader's jersey could be in the back of the Irishman on the left-hand side. He has to just keep it going, and it's down to a battle between Rodriguez on the right-hand side and Dan Martin on the left. We know he's going to win the stage, but how much is he going to take this jersey?
Yeah, well, Quintana as well will feel he's got something left to play in this entire Tour of Catalunya, but it is the barriers that now welcome Daniel Martin. Over the rise he comes. The finish line is within sight, and this has been a spectacular performance. What a day it's been. We lost our leader who took a tumble. We had an Irishman go off earlier on today, Nicolas Roche, and it's another Irishman, Daniel Martin, who just timed this absolutely beautifully. Round he comes to the applause of the crowd here, into the sunshine, almost above the clouds, and there is the line. Keep going, forget about the celebration. He can't do that.
He needs 24 seconds. He needs 24 seconds.
Well, this is the countback right now. Naturally, he just wanted to celebrate across the line with sheer relief, I'll be bound. And here goes the clock then on the pursuers. Who's it going to be? Probably Rodriguez, but Quintana will fancy just putting in a leg kick here. It will be perhaps a sprint to the line between these two. But these guys are keeping their general classification hopes alive for later on here. Daniel Martin had a 30-second deficit. He's in the leader's jersey right now, but it was an awful lot closer than we thought here as they crossed the line. 35 seconds, the gap between them at the top. Van den Broek, brave man, comes to the line here. 47 seconds down for him. Jacink crosses the line with a 50 seconds in arrears to the day's winner, Daniel Martin. What a day. And further back we look. Bradley Wiggins has been left alone by Iran to take the line now, but 1 minute and 1 he's given away today. Goodness gracious me, what a day of cycling.
Well, there you go. That's how to do it. Go out in the breakaway, a big strong breakaway, 23 riders. I'm surprised that a lot of teams let it go, especially Team Sky, but they've got a few good young riders in there, and this is good experience for them. Brad's still shown well, but what a ride. The day has to go to Dan Martin. To me, I think he takes the overall lead by 11 seconds. Is it going to be enough? 11 seconds, if they round it down to 10 seconds, you've got to remember the last day it's 10, 6 and 4 seconds of the time bonus. But you've got to remember the two riders there, Tom Danielson and Peter Stettiner, finished with Bradley Wiggins, so it looks as if they've got a strong enough team to keep it over the next few days, but it's all going to come down to Barcelona and Montjuic.
The thanks being handed out. Well, his team waiting for him, as you can see. What a superb performance that was. Absolutely chapeau. Unafraid to say it on a day such as today. And Garmin, well, they can feel that this has been a superb and proper job done. Absolutely exhausted. 217.7 kilometres. And Daniel Martin finishes it in 6 hours, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That is an awfully long day, especially when you look at today's profile, Brian.
It was a tough day, a very tough day, and that's why everybody's coming in dribs and drabs. But when you think this man yesterday, smarting after not feeling too good, losing 30 seconds, started the day and decided, right, all or nothing, this is my local race. He lives in Girona, spends all his time there. His mum and dad spend so much time there. The team are from there, and this is what they always wanted. They wanted a stage win, potentially overall in their home race, and what a way to do it. Very gutsy. We know that Dan's very capable of this, but you got hats off to Van den Broek and Jacink going with just over 12 kilometres to go to the top of this climb. And I must say that Bradley Wiggins has went on the attack in the first stage. He went attack yesterday. Maybe Sky didn't look so good today, but it was another brave effort and another good performance by Bradley Wiggins in a stage like this, in a mountain stage, and all looking very good. But I can't say enough about the winner today, Dan Martin. What a ride he's done. 6 hours in the saddle, been in the breakaway all day, and held everybody off.
Warm clothing going on for the gladiators today. I think it's fair to call them that. What a day. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. There'll be more tomorrow. Let's just have a look. It's Rialf to Lleida tomorrow. So the battle goes on. Just one intermediate climb. Should be one for the sprinters. Only category 2 tomorrow. But how many sprinters' legs there will be that are feeling operative, if we're allowed to say that, tomorrow. 156.5 kilometres they've got to deal with. They certainly know they've been riding today. We'll see whether the time cut-off actually affects too many. So, glorious backdrop today. It promises an awful lot more, this Tour of Catalunya. Their confirmation of the results. Daniel Martin takes it ahead of Joaquim Rodriguez. Well, there you go. They didn't like that results graphic, obviously, clearly. But you know the result. And the important thing is that Daniel Martin has done a proper job here. I didn't see in that flash. Here we are.
That was yesterday.
Pick a graphic, any graphic. It's not Eurosport's fault, by the way. Danny Martin, Joaquim Rodriguez, Quintana, both 36 seconds down. Vandenbroek 47, Wiggins a minute and 2. Jessink found himself 51 in arrears today. Scarponi was also across the line there for Lamprey. Tom Danielson there. Goodness gracious. And then they have cut the graphic with a minute and 8. I'm glad we got there in the end. 6 hours and 2 minutes or so. Daniel Martin coming home quicker than anybody else. Goodness gracious.
It was number 61, it was 10th, and that's Thibaut Pinot.
Thank you very much. So, hope you can join us tomorrow. I'll be here, so will Brian Smith, and I suspect we'll have even more tales to tell. It's been superbly dramatic, this Tour of Catalunya, for all the right reasons, thankfully. The cycling has been spectacular, even more spectacular than those doing reverse skiing. So as the riders who've earned their ride down send themselves back down the hill, breaking the heart of those who are still on the mountain, it's about time for us to take our leave. Thanks to all of you who joined us. Mike Beckley says, why was today's stage referred to as the Queen stage? Because that's what we call the hardest stage of all. And it was. There was one man, however, who was totally dominant. Garmin have done it again, and it is Daniel Martin of Ireland that came good. Couldn't resist the celebration. It may well cost him. Brian Smith was telling him not to do that because the seconds count for an awful lot, especially with 10-second bonuses here. We're still waiting to see what his overall GC gap is on the chasers, but yes, if it is 9 seconds, he'll be wondering about that celebration. It started early.
Oh, let's hope it's 11 seconds. I made the calculations about 11 seconds, which means that Rodriguez, if on the Montjuic circuit, Rodriguez has to win the stage, and with at least a second advantage. So very good performance there. Oh, it's 10.
It is 10. This is your general classification. Daniel Martin, who took a long time to celebrate, will maybe rue that because Joaquim Rodriguez is only 10 seconds away. So a stage win for Rodriguez, even if Dan Martin stays in touch, will level the times. Oh dear, Dan should have kept it until the line. Hey, hope you can join us tomorrow. It's been a great pleasure. Stage 5 beckons from me, Carter Kirby and Brian Smith. Bye-bye. We got a bit more time, and right, here's that celebration that may well cost him. While you watch that, let's just confirm what we've got tomorrow. Rialf to Lleida, 156.5 kilometres along the way. It's not so much of a test of the legs as today was, unless you happen to be a sprinter, of course. We will be here and hope you will join us as well, but right now we're enjoying the celebrations of Daniel Martin and hoping that they don't have a negative consequence in terms of time eaten up. It's close to the top.